30 minutes for me? 45?
30 minutes. Let's do it.
30 minutes? Okay. Hi, Svens. Thank you for coming today to sit and have a conversation with me.
What's up, Keemah? Oh, my bad.
Yeah, it's open. It's open. It's just going to be authentic,
For
you know?
sure.
So I guess my first question for you is, when you think of men in today's society, what comes to your mind?
When I think of men in today's society, I think that there's a lot of different... And am I looking at the camera or looking at you?
Wherever you feel comfortable with.
So if I'm looking at you, is that okay, or I look cross-eyed?
No,
This
you
is
don't
me
look
looking
cross-eyed.
at the camera?
You can look at the camera.
Yeah?
But sometimes people look... I'm keeping this all in the video, you know. Some people look at the camera and they look around like, Coach, he looked... It doesn't even matter.
All right, for sure.
But if you're comfortable looking at the camera, yeah, because it looks like you're going to the side, or you could look, yeah, look at the camera, man.
For sure. I'll try. But for me...
I'm answering so many different ways. You're like, which way works? Go ahead.
So for me, I feel like when I think of the word man, I feel like men are being redefined right now.
Okay.
And I feel like there's a lot of narratives of what is a man, and there are like these new terms and new definitions and variations of men, like this high value man. You get what I'm trying to say? For example, or an alpha male. Probably something that's been around for a long time, but I feel like they're a lot more common.
Okay.
You feel me? And like everyone is trying to define man.
Okay. So you feel like men are going through... I take it from that there's a big change kind of thing that's happening for men. Because the roles were considered, or the definition of a man... What was the definition of a man then before?
I think before, I would say maybe my father's time, probably a man was supposed to be provider. That's what's up.
And that's it.
That's how I see it. I feel like back then it was like provider. You follow me?
Yeah.
That was the main thing, provider.
Okay, and now the roles, not even just the roles, but the definition of a man has been more defined, I would say.
I mean, I just feel like there's more expectations.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot more expectations on men now. Like, okay, you just can't be a provider. You need to be able to be a provider on this level. And if you do it on this level, you're a high value man. And if you can't provide on that level, then you're not a high value man. Whatever that's supposed to mean.
Okay.
And I
So
feel...
what are some of the things that you feel that are more expected from a man now?
I feel like when I look at all of these panels and all of these podcasts and stuff like that, I feel like there's this expectation for a man to provide on a extreme level.
Okay.
And for some people, the reason why I say extreme is because not even as a husband, but even just as a someone that's dating a woman or courting a woman, whatever you want to call it, I feel like there's this expectation that a man is supposed to just wipe away all of the financial distress that the woman might be dealing with. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I feel like the expectations of a man right now are probably the highest they've ever been, because information is being shared so much. I feel like you got to do so much more. You get what I mean? So much more is expected from you. I'm not saying that's something negative, but I just feel like, I don't know, the list seems long.
But does the list seem long? Does the list seem long because the list wasn't as defined before? Like I say that because you had said before that men were just seen as providers, and that's one expectation that the world had of men. But the reality is, even men themselves know that they were experiencing other things other than just having the need to provide. So do you feel that maybe just society, what do you think about maybe society has not really allowed men to explore those other expectations that society probably has, that they're just unknown of?
I mean, I wouldn't even put that on society. I feel like, in a one way, it definitely makes sense for there to be more expectations on men as time goes on, because like the generation from my father, they never probably really had the time to sit down and get informed about generational trauma and certain issues and behaviors to make things better. You follow me? So it makes sense for expectations to be different because we're in a different time. I just feel like for someone that does not know themselves, for someone that doesn't have any guidance, for someone that feels like I want to be a high value man, the gap in between an 18-year-old, let's say, getting out of high school, wanting to be this high value person, I feel like that gap could look very intimidating for a lot of young men. You get what I'm trying to say?
I get it.
I feel like for an older male, if you're, you know, like really centered on purpose, you know who you are, you know who you were, and you know who you want to be, I don't see it as challenging, but I think about it like in a more macro sense where everybody not on the same page.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? So you get some youth, they look at this idea of what a man is and they feel so intimidated. Like a young man at 18, maybe he doesn't have a car yet, doesn't have this, doesn't have that. He's competing with this idea that a man should have this, this, and that.
Yeah.
And you're like, bro, you just got out of high school. You don't even know who you are yet. You're learning what it is you want to do with your life, but you have this narrative going around that you need to be a high value man. So I feel like.
So how do you think that? Because I would say the pressure and the anxiety, and how do we like break that?
I feel like with mentoring, and I feel like, you know, contributing to the conversation of what it is to be a man. You know what I mean? Like you don't all this pressure. You get what I'm trying to say? That sometimes is applied. I feel like doesn't make any sense. I feel like above all else, take the time to find out who you are and what it means for you to be you. What does it mean for you to be a Haitian? A Haitian part of the Haitian diaspora. What is a Haitian? What is a black man in North America? Where do you come from? You get what I'm trying to say? Because when you know where you come from, you can have so much more pride as a person, so much more dignity, because you know that you're not just some narrative that people say about you. So I feel like there's that. There's also you knowing who you are as a person emotionally. What have you been through? Knowing the different issues that your own toxicity, because all of us could be toxic. So it's that light that's getting into my eyes.
It's so sorry about that.
No worry, my eyes are very sensitive.
Okay, I need my glasses.
No worries. No worries.
But do you think that men that come from a man that has an absent father will struggle more in terms of understanding how to grow into his manhood?
Not necessarily. It depends. I feel like some fathers, if we had them in our lives, we'd be so much more toxic.
That's true.
And then I feel like on the other end, without those fathers, we could be so much better. I feel like it all depends on who is surrounding those young men. Because we'll always have men around us to a certain degree. We'll have different reference points of what a man is, what a successful man is as well. It all depends. If he has good influences around him, for sure he'll be better off than a father that is absent. That's not a good example.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like it all depends on who's around him.
I'm just stopping to think, because so do you ever feel, even if a man has or a boy has that person around them that's a good influence that adds value to their life, do you think it ever fulfills the role of an absent father?
How can I answer that question? I feel like you can never fill the role of an absent father, because a father is not just one thing. A father is not just a provider. A father is just as important as your mother. You get what I'm trying to say? That's like saying, can you replace a mom with an auntie? You get what I'm trying to say? You can't really replace, like, I feel like those, okay, the best way that I could explain it is a prosthetic leg versus a real leg. You get what I'm trying to say? Like the prosthetic
They both
leg,
do the same job, but one feels
similar.
Yeah.
They both do similar jobs, but the best thing would be a loving, caring, emotionally available, supporting father. I mean, what can replace that? I don't think nothing can.
Yeah.
You know, because not only is it the support that you get, but it's also who this person is. There's so much value connected to, okay, this is my biological father.
Okay.
You know what I mean? There's a connection.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like as a man, even when your biological father isn't the greatest guy in the world, you still feel you're connected to this person. You know?
So that gap between that pressure between growing into a man, how do you think that affects relationships throughout that period of time?
What kind of relationships?
I wouldn't even say in a gappy relationship. That's a really hard one to find. But I guess like a Euros kind of. A love relationship, a man and a woman.
It all depends. I feel like it's a bit too broad because if my father is super toxic and he wasn't in my life, I could come out super positive. You get what I'm trying to say? I mean, I could come out super negative even if he was a great guy. So I feel like it all depends. I feel like in the ideal situation, having a available, supporting, loving father will always benefit you. I don't see how it won't benefit you.
So, when you're at that point and you're between like the ages of 18, what did you say, 18 and like maybe 35, 40?
Okay.
You know, and you're in that process as a male, you feel all the pressure, the roles are significantly changed a little. The definition of a man has added more words to that sentence. How do men take on those pressures and show up to their families in relationships? Like, how do you think it affects their money, their finances, the way they communicate, the way they connect with other people? Do you think it has an effect?
Most definitely. I just feel like it all depends on your value system. So like, I'll just make the comment in reference to what people say is high value man. So for me, I feel like, let's say I make $40,000 a year.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I am well invested in my children. I am given to my community. I'm at peace with who I am. Why am I not a high value man?
You see, well, this is where I'm going to have to disagree with what society says. Because I firmly believe that if you make $40,000, $50,000 a year, you could take care of your responsibilities that you agree to with that woman in that house, and you're happy, that's value enough for me. But if you are miserable, if you don't like what you're doing, if you're coming into the house and you're not, bringing that good energy, because I think that women create the environment, but men really set the tone of that home, then that's a problem. Then that's where the work needs to get done. And I do see it a lot sometimes, especially now, because women have been increasing when it comes to entrepreneurship. They've been growing when it comes to putting themselves out there. And now a lot of women are making as much money as men are making. So a high valued man to me is a person that, one, connects with God. Number one, he got to put God first. Number two, he has to be happy with what he wants in life. It's like, so if you want to be the cross guard, and you're the cross guard that could take care of the responsibilities in the house, and you love me as your wife, and you love your kids, that's value enough for me. And I think that society, we don't give enough credit to men that are not out here pushing, hustling, entrepreneurship, and stressing themselves. And most of the time those men are stressed and they are tired, So I do believe that value needs to be redefined in society. And I think that that word value, which I've learned, has added a lot of pressure to men, and you've said it today. But yeah,
that's why I feel like it's very important for you to know who you are, know yourself, and to come up with your own definition of what a man is. You get what I'm trying to say? For me, I feel like I've seen some very rich, powerful men economically, and then you look at their families and you're like, if that's high value, that's not me.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to say? So
did you always have that view?
I didn't always have that view, but I feel like in connecting to God, I feel like God is the best person to tell you what's high value. And I feel like it has much more to do with your character than it has to do with how much money you're able to gain. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, I don't know. I feel like this kind of like idea, like, I don't know. I just don't feel it. I feel like I come from a school of thought where, of course, I'd love to be able to be in a position to be like, yo, stay home. I'm going to take care of everything. You take care of the family. That is my ideal goal. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
At the same time, though, I could never see myself downplaying myself. You get what I'm trying to say? Because someone is like, well, I make $100,000 a year. You make 75. So you're not high value. You're not you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Like, if that's the type of, I kind of feel like if someone has that type of narrative, then they don't really understand what teamwork is, and they don't really have an idea of what value really is. Because value is not monetary. We're not going to be on this world forever.
And you can't take it with you when you're
You can't take it with you. So for me, they've even proven that after $75,000 a year, there's not really much that changes in your life. No. You get what I'm trying to say? So for me, I feel like, in a way, it's kind of good that people have these type of narratives so you can easily see the type of people you need to avoid. You get what I'm trying to say? I'm much more interested in, you know what I mean? How could I say that? Much more interested in a partner that sees a man as a cultivator. You get what I'm trying to say? That's what I can say on that.
Okay. So basically, you said something before though. Now I lost it. But you said something where it's in 75, making money. Yes, ultimately you said that your goal is that you want to be able to provide. If you can provide everything for your family, that would be your ultimate goal, right?
For sure.
But working towards that, it's okay if we agree to have certain things, which I think it's fine. But what I take is that there is a lot of pressure for men to still provide with all these new extra definitions to what makes a man. How do you think that affects a man's mental health?
I feel like, I mean, like, for me personally, I feel like I could care less. I'm not looking for anyone that has this mindset that I have to come through and just poof. For me, when I look at, my perspective is very different. My perspective is I look at, you know how they tell you, like, when people are trying to get in the door, I look at people when they exit the door. People trying to get into the door, getting into marriage per se, they're always focused on how the door looks, the nice handle on the door, the nice facade around the door, the molding and all that. I look at how people leave the room, and the way I see people leave the room shows me that all of those things don't matter at all. You feel me? For me, I feel like that doesn't give me any pressure at all. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
For many reasons, but the most important reason is I feel like I'm looking for someone that values me without nothing. Just me. Not what I do, not what I have, not my financial capacity to bring money in, nothing. Just me. You get what I'm trying to say? And I'm looking for someone that is able to receive me, and I'm able to multiply myself, and I feel like that person can honor my seed. You get what I'm trying to say? And give them something that money cannot buy. So I feel like that doesn't pressure me at all.
And when you get there though, what are you giving to? Like, what is your value to them?
For me, I'm giving all of me. I mean, how do I answer that? I mean, I'm giving all of me. I'm giving.
Because the definition of what you explain, what you would hope, and then after that's what you would like. But then I believe that relationships are about serving.
For sure.
So what's your service when you do receive now? Because if you're biblical, it says when you find it the wife, you find it the good thing, right?
Yeah. All of me.
All of you.
All of me. Everything. You get what I'm trying to say?
And who is all of you?
See, that's the thing. I mean, you get what I'm trying to say? I mean, all of me. I just feel like, in every sense of the word, you get what I'm trying to say? I feel like, I don't know, like, a man that has not had the time or has not taken the time to really connect with their purpose, connect with who they are, you feel me, how they value themselves. Because another thing too that's dangerous with that is like the ego.
Oh, the ego.
Yeah, and I feel like your value does not come from what you have, what you do, and what people think about you. But that's how the world values everybody else. And I feel like the more you attach to this ego,
especially men, though.
Yeah. Oh no.
More.
No. I think even more. I don't even want to say man and woman. I just think human beings. Because I don't know. I feel like we have a lot of similarities. I'll say all of, like, men and women, we can be really connected to ego. And the more you're connected to ego, the more you'll say something like that. So for me, a man that has not taken the time to really find that value within himself and realize that, you know what, I'm much more valuable than the money I can put on the table. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like some of us need time and some of us really need a push. You get what I'm trying to say? Because we know better, but I don't know me. I'm not.
I think that some people do need time, but I agree with what you said in terms of when you find that purpose, and when you kill the ego is only when you can find the purpose, I think. But I do see in this day of society, one, you're right, the definition changed. I believe that because the definition of men changed, it shows up a lot in their relationships. And when I say relationships, I say parenthood, I say husband and wife, co-workers too. There's a drastic change there because in the work field before, in certain industries, women weren't always as prevalent there, and the statistics show that has affected men too. Not, I think, in a malicious, mean way, but it's a way to adapt. And then after the mental health part of it is that now that we have this extra added words to the sentence of the definition that defines who we are, that comes with the pressure, that comes with the means to show up again now, and the challenge becomes more. And sometimes I think, like, is it because we only gave men a certain definition, and it's quite unfair now that there's new definitions added, so there's new pressures, whereas in women, we've been given that opportunity and that space to kind of explore every definition that makes us a woman. When you think of a man, you had said men are the only definition there was for a man was providing. Women, there was mother, there was cooker, there was nurturer, there was this. So we had the opportunity to explore every single definition. I don't think men has ever, and you could tell me if you agree or disagree, but I don't think men have ever had the clear understanding of manhood. And now that it's becoming revealed, it's like people want them to adapt quicker, but it's a process to adapt, And I feel that that's what adds the pressure. So it shows up in frustration at times. It shows up in anxiety for some people. And I think that men need to have the space right now to really explore their true definition of a manhood.
For sure. Yeah. And I feel like the best thing to do is attack your own ego.
Yeah.
Because when you attack your own ego and you realize that, okay, I remember one time, I'll give you a perfect example. I remember one time I had a lot of debt.
Okay.
And I'm dating this girl, and I got all this debt, and I'm like, damn, boy, you get what I'm trying to say? Like, I felt so embarrassed dating this girl, and I'm like, I'm strapped with all this debt. So many people could see that in so many ways. And then I prayed about it, and
you felt embarrassed because you had the debt.
Yeah.
And she didn't have the debt.
Exactly. Okay. She had some too, but not as much as me.
Much as you.
And I'm like, damn, like, I just felt so embarrassed. And when I prayed about it, God told me, you know what? Your situation is perfect for the woman that loves you.
Did you feel that she was accepting of your situation?
She was.
Okay.
She was very much so accepting.
But did it build that? But did you find it built that insecurity within you?
I think it was more me. You get what I'm trying to say? But like, irrespective of, like, regardless of however she felt or however she saw the situation, for me, when I had that conversation with God, and God is like, your situation is perfect for the woman that loves you. Boom. For me, it's like
that you were at ease at that point.
Yeah, because for me, I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to, like, for sure, we would all love to meet people in their most perfect state, their best state. You get what I'm trying to say? But I feel like I'd rather meet you where things are not perfect, because things will never, like, nothing is permanent.
Yeah.
And I feel like that shows you who you're really dealing with. You get what I'm trying to say? Are you dealing with someone that's pessimistic, someone that's afraid? And it also shows you, do they really see you? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. Do they see you? And I think meeting a person at their imperfect stage, and if you guys could connect on a level, and watching that person grow into the person that God created them to be, I think that's a beautiful experience in itself.
For sure.
But it definitely takes patience, killing that ego.
For sure.
The ego is what has us all in trouble. But yeah, there's something else that I wanted to say. Because they don't really know your full story, and we ain't going to tell them your full story until June 17th. But how did you get to this place? Because you sound like you know what you want. You've done a lot of work. You sound like your mental health is quite stable. How did you get to this place of, I don't want to say wholeness, I don't like using that word, but I guess stability, acceptance, self-acceptance?
I'd say just taking the time to realize my brokenness. To be quite honest with you, I feel like everybody broken, but when you take the time to realize where you're broken, how you were broken, when you were broken, and you really study it, you realize you could start to notice the cracks in other people. Yeah. You feel me? And I feel like
noticing those cracks, do you think you have more patience?
Sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes. But I feel like, I don't know, I feel like the more you take time with yourself and have solitude, and you take time to evaluate yourself, time to question yourself, the more your position, you have a better perspective to see yourself clearly. You get what I'm trying to say? Uncomfortable at times, but I feel like the best thing that could ever happen to you is you sitting down with you and really taking time to go back to your own story, evaluating things that you've been through, the people in your life. And when you start to make those connections, you have so much more power. You get what I'm trying to say? Because you sense like, okay, I get myself now. How can other people understand you if you don't even understand you?
Yeah. No, I agree. To getting to a place of self-acceptance, I feel that you have to go on a journey, and I like to call it the healing journey, or the healing / self-discovery journey. No, the healing journey, because when you discover, that's when you're able to heal. So it's a healing journey. And I believe that first you need to have self-awareness. Without self-awareness, you can't even do the work. If you don't believe that there's an issue, you have brokenness, you can't do the work. And then I believe once you gain your awareness, you have to gain your awareness through self-discovery, but you're aware that you need to do some work. And then when you start to discover yourself, I think that's the longest process. I think it's the most painful process sometimes. It's a roller coaster. And you discover things about yourself that you love, and you discover things about yourself that you know you have to change if you want to get to a place to feel unbroken. And then once you realize what you've been through, you accept it, you've healed from it, you've grown from it, you really move into the self-acceptance stage. And that's when you're just like, yeah, this is what I was. You have no problem saying who you were because you know that's not who you are today. And not because you know you're not who you are today, but because that point of your life had to happen. It taught you something. You may have hurt people, you may have said the wrong things, you've grown from it, you've changed your life. So I think I don't think everyone goes through the process, but I hope everyone could go through that process. And I hope that men could go through that process, because I truly do believe that us as a society, as a community, and for the next generation, we need our men. And I believe that women has had enough time to do the work, and I think it's time for men now to really buckle down and do the work, so that eventually we can't make a perfect world, but we can make better homes, we can make better communities to create better generations. And yeah, that was my point. So thanks, Svens. This is a small one, but thanks for coming through.
For sure. It's my pleasure, and see you soon.
Alrighty.